It's the Sunday before Passover. Hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of Jews have converged in Jerusalem to celebrate their most important feast. Jesus and his followers are on their way there as well. And coming from Jericho, Luke tells us that Jesus stops and overlooks the city and begins to weep for them. Jesus says, if you, Jerusalem, had known today what would bring you peace. He says, but it's hidden from you. You can't see it. See, Jesus knows that Jerusalem is inhabited by the people of God, but the people of God are still people. And as people, they have two characteristics in common with us and everybody else who's ever lived. One is they want peace. They want their lives to be peaceful. They want to feel at peace with what's going on in their world. And two is they're most apt to look for it in all the wrong places. Now, the people of Jerusalem had some difficult things going on. They were, of course, part of the Roman Empire and ultimately under the direction of whatever Caesar wanted to do with them. They had their own ruler, Pontius Pilate, there to kind of keep watch over them. They had Herod, who was king over that portion of the world on behalf of Rome, but essentially just a puppet king for Rome and one of the great awful tyrants in history. They were being taxed unmercifully by Rome, by Herod himself, by the temple. They were being taxed out of everything that they had. And so they began to search for peace. And like I said, in the wrong places. They trusted in the great walls of the city of Jerusalem. They trusted, of course, in their heritage as the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They trusted in the Torah and the Jewish tradition. And Jesus looks at that and he sees them all scurrying about in pursuit of all of these things. And he weeps because he knows they'll never find the peace that they're looking for. And in fact, the peace that they're really looking for isn't even in their grasp because they're looking in all the wrong places. And what they're actually settling for, what they're calling peace, is really just kind of a form of apathy. It's not really expecting tomorrow to look any different than today. It's not expecting God to break into the system and really do anything unexpected. And so we just do the best we can. We settle for low levels of peace that say, maybe this is all there is, and this is the best I can hope for. And Jesus weeps for them. And honestly, I think he maybe weeps for us too. Because peace is within our grasp. And we settle for versions of peace that even we know in the depths of our souls can't bear the weight of what we're really asking for. We, slightly different than the people in Jerusalem that Jesus was weeping over just then, we live in a time and place where we invest more in the business of peace than any nation, any civilization in the history of the world has ever invested. Think about what we spend on homes, on garages, on security systems, on insurance policies, on health programs, on 401ks, more recently on hand sanitizer and face masks. We invest more in trying to contain our external circumstances than has ever been invested in the history of the world. But does it bring us peace? Has it brought you peace? I think Jesus weeps because Jesus knows that the battle against external circumstances and dangers can never be won, and thus that pursuit of peace will never get us there. So Jesus enters into Jerusalem moments later, riding on a donkey of all things, an anti-king, if you will, making a blatant declaration that efforts both national and personal to beat down all possible external circumstances and beat them into submission is a fool's version of peace, temporary at the very best. He rides in humility, the anti-empire. He says, here is peace. Because peace doesn't come from external strength. It can't. Peace only comes from an interior rootedness. It comes from being rooted in a source beyond ourselves, and a source that actually can affect the system that we struggle to live in. It's expressed and it's developed in humble service, in self-sacrifice, and in love freely offered. It's anchored in our connection to the divine, the created, resting in the Creator. So I pray this week that you find peace, peace that can sustain you and raise you up. And I pray most of all that you're reminded of its true and inexhaustible source, Jesus himself.